Brilliant. Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. This is a planning committee meeting of Frome Town Council. I'm Fiona Barrows, chair and leader of Frome Town Council. As our chair of the planning committee, Steve Tanner, cannot be with us tonight, we need to nominate a chair for this evening's meeting. Does anyone have a proposal? Philip.
I'd like to propose Councillor Andy Jones to chair the meeting.
Brilliant. Can I get a seconder? Mark, all those in favour? That's unanimous. Over to you, Andy.
The wonders of local democracy in action. Yes, so thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Councillor Andy Jones. Tonight's meeting will be different than usual, as both the Chair, Councillor Steve Tanner, and Jane Llewellyn, Planning and Development Manager, are unable to attend tonight's meeting as they're in Shepton Mallet, meeting Somerset Council and discussing the Selwood Garden Community Public Inquiry. We want to make our meetings available to as many people as possible, regardless of where they are, so we're using a hybrid setup in person here in the Town Hall and online via Zoom. For those in the room, a little housekeeping. Emergency exit is over in the rear corner. Assembly point is in the car park. Toilets are at the end of the corridor on the right-hand side, with an accessible toilet to the right of the lift. Tonight, Becca will manage the questions board and participant setting. The meeting will be recorded for minuting purposes, and we will also live stream to our YouTube channel. Due to these changes, we will be deferring all applications to our next meeting on the 21st of August 2025. But we will still hold our question and comment session, as we've got residents of Marston Lane in attendance who want to share their views regarding item 744. All other agenda items will be deferred, as I say, to 21st of August at 7 p.m. So thank you all for attending. So basically, the only item on our agenda is to take questions and comments from the public. So over to you guys. Let's talk about the issues with this care home.
Right, thank you, Andy. I'll introduce myself, if I may, to start with. My name is Paul Johnson. Celia and I live in Springbourne House, which is the property in the northwest corner of the plot on the boundary of Marston Road. I'm not spokesman for the. I'm not a spokesman for the group. Each of us will make a comment, and we have different comments that we would like to raise individually. But I'd like to start, if I may, by talking about our feelings about the engagement of Liberty Care Homes with us right from the beginning, and our feelings in the way that they have carried out their actions. We believe them to be egregious and frankly underhand. They visited us on the 15th of May to present the proposal outline for this project. Two of us were not able to attend, myself and Jim's wife, Sophie. So prior to the meeting, we did request that documents, information, plans, anything that could be reviewed should be left at the meeting. At the meeting itself, that was further requested again by those in attendance, and basically we were fobbed off. This was denied, and the comments made at that time was that nothing is really finalised yet. This is a plan that is evolves and will continually evolve. There's nothing really that we can leave you. Yet, that very same evening, on the 15th of May, they came here and made a presentation to you, a PowerPoint presentation with supporting documents. To say that they had no documents at a stage that could have been left with us to really understand what this was all about is really frustrating and hugely disappointing. Clearly, documents were ready for us to use, to view, and so I'll leave that there. I won't comment further. The only thing I would say is that had we been afforded sight of such information that we now see at that time, we would have had so much more time to deal with stuff, address the matter, and most importantly, prior to the application being submitted to Mend It Beast. They were untruthful in their presentation in several areas. The plan that was shown is different from the one that they now propose. It indicated a building which was further away from our boundary. They also made mention of the fact that the upper level, the upper story level, was going to be sunken into the ground, so it wouldn't be something that protruded massively out of the ground. We now know that they are actually going to be building up that area of the plot before construction, so they are raising it higher, they are not sinking that. And that actually was highlighted in their PowerPoint presentation to you, and you will see, if you refer back to it, that there is a diagram where they highlighted that the plot was sunken below the car park level, for example. So that's very disingenuous. We now know that the boundary, far from being the 15 metres away from, the building, far from being 15 metres away from our boundary, which they indicated to us and also in the presentation to you, is now at the northwest corner, barely going to be 2 to 3 metres away. With the ground built up at the front, I understand the structure is going to be a fraction under 7.5 metres tall, with a further raised up level before you even start. That's going to be at least 8 metres, probably a little bit more. Just for reference, on our side of the fence, the height of our boundary is 3 metres. We will now be facing a building barely 2-3 metres on the other side of our fence, 8 metres plus tall. The site is far too big, it's cramped, it's overbearing, it's obtrusive. It needs to be halved, it needs to be cut back, scaled down, and it should be cut in half. That is our view. I'll pass on to Jim, if I may.
Thank you very much, Paul. Thank you for taking the time to speak to us. I'm Jim Sanford. I live in 35 Maston Road with my wife and 3 daughters. I've got a few points. I'd like to say that all of us share the same points, really. We've tried not to repeat ourselves too much and tried to go into a different area. I've just heard Paul, and I am going to repeat you, so I apologise for that. But hopefully there'll be a few other bits as well. So just to get things open, I do support the need for a care home in the community. These facilities should offer compassionate, high-quality care and a true sense of community. While financial viability is important, this proposal appears overly focused on capacity. Its scale and design feel out of place, raising concerns about overdevelopment, massing, and the impact on neighbours, privacy and amenity. So I would say, one of the main concerns is the size and the bulk of the building in the proximity. As Paul mentioned, in the residents' meeting we had, and equally on the same day with a Frome Town Council planning meeting, the developers told us and you guys, as Paul has mentioned, that they were, and this is a quote, sit the building down to mitigate height and massing to reduce the visual impact. And as Paul said on the YouTube video, you can refer back to, so 23 minutes in, this is when they mention and go into detail on this. Having received the plans for the proposed development they're doing, like Paul said, they're certainly not sitting it down into the ground. They're doing the complete opposite by raising it up, so making an already large building even more overbearing. And it's just not on, really. It's, it is, it's just completely out of proportion for the site. It is overdeveloped. Like Paul said, the building comes to about 2-3 metres of our boundary, completely overlooks us, blocks out the sky. Yeah, it's just really sad to see. Raising the ground level on their side as well will likely worsen the drainage to our gardens, which already in the winter months do get very boggy. So this is just going to push the water down onto us, making them even more waterlogged. It could be suggested that raising the ground level, creating small tiered gardens on the resident side of the care home is not really ideal for the elderly. And it's a way of avoiding significant costs in removing the soil, and it appears to us that profit is more valuable than the lives of potential care home and local residents. The building is, I've done that bit, sorry, excuse me. Loss of light. So there's already a hedge that's about 3 metres tall that runs along the back of all of our gardens, which belongs to the property. Now in the winter months, it shades about 50% of our garden in the autumn, the winter and early spring. And placing an 80-metre tall building a couple of metres from the boundary would just plunge our gardens, all of ours, into complete darkness, really. So when they've done the sun tracking survey, it is clearly misleading. It only shows the sun's position at 12 noon in the autumn and winter months, when the sun is at its highest, and ignores the lower angles during the morning and afternoon. And also, was this done on this existing plan that's gone in, or was it done on the plan when the building was sunk into the ground? I don't know. Overdevelopment of the site, the proposed building covers about 50% of a 1.6 acre plot, which is a huge footprint for a previously green space. Get muddled up now. Sorry. There's going to be lots of mature trees that are going to be removed from the site. The gardens are too small and likely to be inaccessible for many of the residents there. Much of the remaining area is taken up by access roads and the car park. The site currently supports a wide variety of local wildlife, including songbirds, bees, butterflies, and other pollinators. In addition, much of the development site is actually deemed as employment land, for which a residential care home is not appropriate. We do not feel that JLL have fairly consulted with us. No plans were submitted for the application were shown to us. They showed us a plan which was completely different to what's actually gone in. There's no site notice on the site, so other members of the community may not be aware of the proposal that's going on. There is an opportunity here to create a care home that truly serves its residents and fits respectfully within the local context, one that feels integrated, not imposed, but this current design is not it at all. And I would urge the council to oppose this application. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Good evening. My name's Lisa Cook and I live at number 37 Marston Road. So I agree with everything that's been said so far. But as Paul said, we've decided to keep our views quite separate, so we're not repeating each other. So I'd like to cover the parking. It states that there's room for 29 spaces on the care home site, and we're quite worried about the overflow, as our driveway is adjacent to the site, very close, and we're worried that there might not be enough space for staff and emergency vehicles, delivery vans, ambulances. And I have read through the documentation, and it states that there will be room for 29 spaces, which will include 3 accessible parking spaces, 4 electric vehicle charging, 3 motorcycle parking, and 12 bicycle parking. And I would say my concerns would be for a 76-place residential home, for staffing and the emergency vehicles, as I said earlier, there just won't be room for everyone to park, including staff. So I think a lot more has to go into, I feel, a lot more has got to go into the thoughts behind all of that. And our driveway would be a perfect place for people to just park if there's no room, or visitors, especially visitors, I think. Once everybody knows where it is, then, but I think visitors travelling from afar might seek alternative places to park. It's already a busy road. Pedestrians, mums and children in pushchairs are always walking along that road towards Sainsbury's, the Range, McDonald's, and the trading estate. Increased traffic volume. HGVs use this road 24/7, and there is extremely heavy vehicle usage. And I did point out at the meeting that we had that I have seen on many occasions when people are queuing for a McDonald's, it's gridlocked up to the roundabout. So that's my main concern, the amount of traffic, excess traffic. I've talked about inadequate access for emergency vehicles, delivery vans, ambulances, refuse collections as well. Is there enough place for them to turn around? Increased noise levels from residents, staff, delivery vehicles, and 24/7 operations. Disturbance from shift patterns or out-of-hours visitors. And I'm just referring to table 1 of the plans, where they talk about them wanting to create a space that's pedestrian and cyclist friendly, cycle lanes, off-site pedestrian and cycle routes, provision of bike parking, which they have done. They have made the provision of bike parking, but I would say that road is so busy and such heavy traffic. I'm wondering how they will promote that to their staff to cycle to work. The pavement's fairly narrow. As I say, there's lots of pedestrians that already walk along there. And I feel that there would be an excessive disturbance to an already busy road. And I just want to reiterate what Tim and Paul has said, that I feel that the massing on site is too big for the plot. And thank you for listening.
That's great. Thank you all for coming along this evening. I don't know if any of my colleagues have got any questions they want to ask at this stage.
Thanks for coming. As you say, we were presented to by the proposed.
Now, are these the developers, or are they just people who try and buy bits of land and then sell it on to? They're not going to build the place, are they? They are going to build the place. I thought they bought the land, got the planning permission, then sold it on to a care home builder. Sorry?
It's Liberty Care Development. It is a developer.
Okay. Yeah. Because when they came and spoke to us, I got the impression that they'd spoken to everybody in the area, and obviously they missed some people. Yeah, of course you can.
Yeah, in answer to your question, yes. When I saw the YouTube presentation that they made, they did state they've spoken to everybody. 2 of us. There's 5 residents in the 3 houses plus Ken and Judy as well in the fourth. But Sophie and myself, we weren't there. We weren't able to make that meeting. So that was disingenuous to suggest he's spoken to all. I cannot emphasize strong enough how, again, I repeat what I made earlier on, that it seems there has been an effort to not be totally clean with the plan, the project, and there's some misinformation that's going around. So it leaves a foul taste. It really does.
Okay. Fiona?
Yes, because it's a difficult position we're in because, not being able to sort of give the developer like the right of reply, which we would normally quite like to do. So I just feel a bit conscious that we're sort of hearing one side of things and, and I'm not in any way disputing it, but obviously it's a little bit tricky for us because we can't hear from the developer.
We're going to hear from the developer.
Yeah, but hey, I'm presuming I've sort of checked, and I think a number of you have sort of left comments on the application, and I'm presuming you've also sort of emailed your concerns and objections to Jane as well. So we can sort of have a list and we can then bring them up with the developer on your behalves at the meeting on the 21st if they are there, or, in another forum, and sort of make your points.
What we have done, if you're not already aware, I know that we have prepared a whole series of photos which show rendering of what this is going to look like. So I know these have been forwarded to you. So I hope everyone gets to see these. And furthermore, I think we've also invited, is it Helen and Shane, to come and see firsthand. That would be really, really helpful so that they can just look out of our windows and stand in the garden and just get a feel for what this is all about. That would be hugely appreciated if that is going to happen.
Yeah, thanks for coming. I make no opinion on this at all. I'd just like some points of clarification, if I may, which would help me, in a couple of weeks' time, when we hear from the developer and other facts about this. There's two or three things that I'd just like to ask. One is the issue of the closeness at a particular point to your boundary. Okay, so, and you were saying that, I think all of you echoed the fact that you thought it was too big for the plot. So one issue is that it's too close at that point. But the rest of the development, you don't seem to have too much concern about, the size of it, because the further it gets away, the height sort of is less of an issue, isn't it? So is it particularly that part there, or are you concerned about the overall height of the whole structure?
So yeah, there's various bits to that. So yeah, obviously that bit really is right up close to all of our boundary and overlooks us. There's a lot of windows in the two sides of that which overlook Lisa and Paul and Celia especially. The bit that actually comes right up to the boundary is backing onto our garden. Equally, there is a window in there as well. So when we met with the developers, they actually said that part of the building wasn't going to come any closer than the house which is there at the moment, which has come dramatically over. Equally, if it was all sunken into the ground like they presented it to you in the first place and to us, it wouldn't be so tall, it wouldn't be so overbearing. So yeah, we've got an issue with that, how it is. I do think if they changed it, it could work better. But equally, due to the overmassing on the site, the overdevelopment, say the car park really is a big issue. With the 76 rooms, staff, you're going to have, like Lisa said, waste disposal, food deliveries, there's going to be lorries pulling in there. I mean, with the sheer amount of rooms and everything that's going on there, if a lorry comes in, where's everyone going to park? It's going to be queuing out on the road. We all know what it's like down Marston Road and through the butts. It's right next to a zebra crossing as well. It's going to be chaos. So I think just making the whole thing smaller really is what needs to happen. So I don't think any of us are massively against having a care home. We are realistic. If that site's up for sale, something's going to go there. But what they are proposing at the moment is it's just too big. It's ridiculous for the site. So yeah, making it smaller is something that I think we all feel could be a compromise.
Yeah. I'm surprised to hear that someone at some stage talked about sinking it into the plot, because the drawing here shows quite clearly that the residential rooms are outward facing, more like little apartment flats, and each of them, you can see through the drawing, each of them will have their own outdoor space. In order to achieve that, it has to be at ground level. I'm not agreeing with them. I'm just saying that I'm surprised that if they said they were going to sink it, which part would they do that to?
Do you mind if I?
Yeah, please do.
And so you can refer back to this on the YouTube video as well. So this top part, the slope comes down like this. So this is lower here, this is the upper section. So this part here, you can see there's retaining walls around here. Yep. So initially when they showed us a plan that was similar to this, it was not this plan. That plan seems to have totally disappeared now under thin air. They said these retaining walls is because this whole section is sunk down low, so it'd be retained in the soil back from this area. In this, it's complete opposite. So this is actually, they built the whole of this up, and the retaining walls are holding all this in. So yeah, it still would have the gardens, because this whole area would be sunk in and retained around the edge. The red line.
Yeah, was it going to be a bund? Was it going to be built up?
So yeah, there is some cross section as well, so you can see how the ground level is now and how they're proposing to bring it up higher. So yeah, basically this would be the existing, and they're planning on building all this up high with the retaining walls to keep it all in, which is complete opposite of what they told us and you in the initial meeting.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Sorry to waffle on.
No, it's absolutely fine. No, it's to get a clear picture, and
Okay, well, I think on that note, unless
I was just going to say one more thing about that particular. The architect and the developer came down to my site, had a look in the garden, and said categorically, you will not see the building at all from your garden. That's what they said.
Yeah.
I'd just like to make that very clear.
Thank you. Okay, I think on that note, we should probably wrap up this meeting, let Jim get over to see his daughter at theatre. And thank you all very much for coming this evening. We'll make sure this information is fed out to the wider group as well. So, okay. Next meeting is on the 21st. If you aren't going on holiday, then yeah. If not, you should be able to pick it up on the YouTube later. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Thank you all very much. So I'll